I don't know if you've heard the news, you probably have. Manchester City have been banned from the UEFA Champions League for 2 seasons and fined €30 million after they were found to have, and I quote, seriously misled UEFA and broke financial fair play rules. So basically, this all started in 2018. A site called Football Leaks gained access. Basically, UEFA, in legal proceedings, they can't access people's documents like you can in a normal court case. But obviously, individual journalists can. And Football Leaks put in a request to get these sort of staff emails and stuff from City. And a site called Der Spiegel in Germany, a big sports site, they basically did a huge investigation into it a couple of years ago, and it's sort of been ongoing up until this point, and that's what triggered the rehash of the investigation. And I'll talk about it anyway, but initially City did get punished for breaking the rules a few years ago, and it wasn't sufficient at all, and they've just carried on, so they've had to sort of come down hard.
So it's been going on for years?
Yeah, it's been going on since they bought the club. Which is it's quite crazy, really, when you get into it. But
that oil money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That oil money, bruh. Basically, the owners of Man City are also the royal family and/or work in the government in Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates. And the initial charge was the owner, Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, used the country's airline Etihad, which you'll notice is everywhere to do with City, as the front for their £67.5 million a year shirt, stadium and academy deal. And if you know anything about football finances, that's a stupidly inflated number for what they'd get back. It turned out 58 million of that 67 million came from his own company, the owner, as if countries buying teams wasn't dodgy enough. Using that natural advantage to further escape fair play rules, says all you need to know about these owners. And there is a sort of running context here that they aren't doing it for good reasons at all. They're not doing it to improve football because they love football and got a lot of money and thought they'd spend it on their favourite team, etc. In my opinion, UEFA never really wanted to pursue it. They never really going to give them a punishment. I mean, even the sort of 2 seasons ban from the Champions League, when you find out everything that they've done, it sort of puts into question the right for them to be a top team at all, because this has been going on, as I said, since the day they bought the club. So basically, if City appeal, which they will be doing, and the appeal isn't sorted by the time the Champions League starts again, they're just going to the Champions League and the ban won't uphold. So basically, UEFA punish them, City appeal, the appeal never gets dealt with until they've already been in the Champions League for so many years that people don't really give a shit anymore, as a lot of corporate cases go. So the emails came out in 2018. My first question, not to use, but just to UEFA, would be, what's the need to drag it out? They should have been under instant transfer ban, much like Chelsea did for tampering with youngsters and stuff. So in 2014, Gianni Infantino, who was the General Secretary of UEFA at this point, who's now the President of FIFA, I might add, which is a bit scary. And he wrote to the City chair explaining how City can avoid trouble as harmlessly as possible by means of a settlement with UEFA. And this was when the original case came out, 2014-ish. Right. Similarly to PSG, who are owned by the Qatar royal family. So effectively, we've got the new FIFA chief going beyond his remit and telling teams that they can get away with punishment by doing this. So this is a man working on behalf of the company that's supposed to be punishing them. So it's a bit like a bank robber deciding how long he goes to prison for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. It's cartel shit.
It's cartel shit.
And on April 15th of that year,
Manchester Carter.
yeah, the Manchester Mafia, Salford Mafia. Actually, no, Salford's United, so I'm making stuff up now.
Someone's going to be mad about
Yeah. I've just started civil war in Manchester. No, on April 15th of 2014, Soriano, who's the managing director of Manchester City, told Mubarak, the club chairman, and I quote, "I had a good phone call with Gianni Infantino, the UEFA secretary, where we agreed how we would like to guide the lawyers, negotiating a settlement that is more than a warning and can be seen as effective and convincing, but doesn't affect Man City's business." So we're already contradictory. How can you be punished for something if the punishment isn't going to affect you? It's
not
all
a punishment
fucking
then, is it?
exactly. It's all fucking bollocks. Mubarak said he wasn't happy about a fine and said he'd rather spend 30 million on the world's top 50 lawyers to sue UEFA for the next 10 years, saying the Football Association only has one option: to prevent the destruction of its rules and organisation. So we've got someone that's come in, they've been found out for lying about their sponsorship money, and in turn for that they say, no, we refuse to be punished. In fact, we will just turn it onto you and tear UEFA down. They don't like football. As I said, the running context here is they ain't interested in the football. The day they received an email from the club financial control body, which is the body UEFA used to hand out punishment, etc., with the recommended settlement, the chairman of the FFP controller resigned, citing the mild settlement given the size of the violations, and said that he couldn't be seen to be a part of it. So the main guy at the head of the body that charges teams had to quit out of embarrassment that the settlement was so mild. And after months of more threats, a €20 million fine was agreed. Since then, they've spent over £1 billion just on player fees.
No way.
Yeah. That's just since 2014
See, this
as well.
is the thing, the fine that they're handing out is a drop in the ocean.
Yeah, it's like what a player gets for getting a red card, and they get fined a grand, and that's not even 100th of their wages. You know what I mean? It's almost pointless going through spending the money on the judges and shit. All taxpayer money, of course.
Right, how is it taxpayer money?
Yeah.
The courts would be.
Oh, the courts, right.
Yeah.
No, but surely you pay in court fees. Whoever's involved will pay in court fees, right?
Oh yeah. If you lost, you'd have to pay the settlement.
Yeah.
Unless it was the
'cause the court
CPS.
fees-
CPS is taxpayer, because that's on behalf of the people, not the state.
Oh, okay.
So if they had that equivalent with this, then yeah, that'd be the case. If not, I think you're right. And the day before Soriano signed the 20 million settlement, Jean-Luc Dehaene, head of the club financial control body investigation, died. So one resigned, another one died on the day that it was signed, and City's lawyer replied to an email from another staff member who just told him about the death, saying, and I quote, "1 down, 6 to go."
No way.
I swear to God.
And what was the cause of death?
I don't know. Not sure at
Suicide.
all.
Has it been released, you know?
I think he just died of like heart attack or something like that, but I didn't dig into that.
Yeah.
Ricin.
Yes, yeah. I was just
Dodgy,
thinking, yeah. It's always the rice one. So that's what happened around 2014. So already about halfway through their ownership. We go right back to the start. Their owners joined in 2008 and had spent 1.1 billion before 2012. So they'd spent $1 billion before the investigation, and since that 20 million settlement, they've spent another $1 billion.
Damn.
Yeah, and they're willing to destroy UEFA over getting fined. It's, yeah, the bad vibes from these guys. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just dodgy AF.
Yeah.
So they spent $1 billion before 2012, and in 2013 was when the financial fair play rules came in. So before that, there wasn't any rule, so they could that the spending was technically allowed. But I think a couple years before the rules come in is when they'd start to backdate it. So basically, they got a boot up their arse and they realised that they've only got a couple years to try and circumvent the law. So City agree to, and a lot of what I'm reading is all from leaked emails, so this is straight from the horse's mouth. So City agreed to aggressively seek out ways to circumvent the rules. Soriano had this to say about it in a private email. Everyone is pushing for FFP. We will have to fight this, but not visible. Otherwise we will be publicly portrayed as the global enemy of football. So they create a secret project called Project Longbow. And if any of you know your military history out there, the longbow was the weapon that the English used to defeat the French. So Michel Platini is a Frenchman who was the head of UEFA at that point. So they're literally referencing killing the French as their secret plan name to get rid of the French president of the UEFA. Like, in it, it's just gang shit. This isn't football.
I was gonna say it sounds like a rap,
Yeah,
like a rap beat.
people stick up for it. That's the crazy thing. And Project Longbow will be a central model, again I quote, that allows us to push many of the operational costs away from the club. So City go ahead and found some sister companies to outsource their business. One example of this is the club moved the individual players' market rights to an external company, something they'd normally pay each player individually from the club. So when you sign for a club, the club also has to pay you for the rights to use their marketing.
Right.
So sort of like a model JD would pay for the right to use their image in future campaigns and shit like that.
Does it like to have names on shirts and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, without it, they wouldn't be allowed to sort of be in the adverts for the shirts
Yeah,
and shit
yeah.
like that, and it would all get very complicated. So it saved the club 30 million euros moving this to a sister company. The company was called Fordham Sports, and I quote, is very important for our longbow goal, according to City's finance chief, Jorge Shumilas. And it all leads back to Jonathan Rowland and his father David, former Tory bankroller and disgraced for barely paying any UK tax for decades, and long-time confidant of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, incidentally the same family that owns Lee's lot. So Fordham Sports itself as a company leads to a British strawman company, tax haven business, to the Virgin Islands, and finally to the Rowlands Family Trust. Internal documents further reveal the nature of this connection. So Sheikh Mansour's holding company, Abu Dhabi United Group, transfers money to the Rowlands, with which they can buy ad rights and pay for City's players. The transfers are coordinated by City itself. It's just the money that everyone else plays with. So Fordham acts as a vehicle for hidden financial injection from Abu Dhabi. PwC, who's like an auditing court, auditors commissioned by UEFA said, and I quote, "It was very good business for Man City, but it's very difficult for us to understand how Fordham even wants to make a profit from the business." Because you think, what good business would it be for them? What does Fordham Sports get out of paying millions of pounds for City to use someone's rights? They don't get anything out of that. City attorney Simon Cliff replied, "Fordham has not shown City its business plans, but internal documents reveal that they had actual images of the structure and you can see it, and they say that the money's going to come from them. It goes to Fordham Sports. Fordham Sports leads to this company, leads back to the Rowlands, who are friends of City." So that was just a complete lie, that they had not shown City its business plans. They'd actually been emailing each other about it, and actually City came up with the business plan. Another City employee said they did it because the price was right. Well, they created the price. And again, I say, we've got images proving that they know exactly how Fordham got their money back. So that's one way that they circumvented paying for the money, which is what the investigation was to do with. But there's also other ways in which they circumvented rules to get what they wanted. And I'll bring it back to the actual investigation, but this is just a little side one. So Guardiola, best coach in football at the time, signs for City on October the 10th, 2015. For 13.5 million the first year and 16.75 million for the second. And I know what you're all thinking, if you know German football, wasn't he still at Bayern and wasn't Pellegrini at City? That's correct. So, they're signing secret contracts whilst under contract of another team. Entirely illegal in sport. It's tampering. You can't do that. But Pep and City kept it hushed.
So.
Weeks later, the Sunday Mirror wrote that City director Chiqui and Pep met in Barca, leading to speculation, obviously. So the papers started saying, we think Pep might be going to Man City. City didn't like this and applied pressure on the media, and apply pressure was their term, on the media to stop talking about it. The media obliged. And in control of the story now, City wait. But this sort of ties into the overall goal and aims and mission of these owners, is that they can obviously have some essence of control over the media that other clubs can't. And with sporting success and pro PR work, they gain the sovereignty of interpretation in Great Britain. Sovereignty of interpretation, what I mean by that, the inhabitants, this is a good way of putting it, the inhabitants of a country that boasts the founding state of the modern rule of law and democracy celebrate the government members of emirates in which the death penalty for adultery and prison threatens public kisses. So basically, what I'm saying is through being a successful team and through very good PR work, they can essentially diminish any sort of connection to what the owners actually do when they're not owners of City, i.e. killing people for adultery and throwing people in prison for kissing people in public. Suddenly, all of that goes out the window because they're successful. And what you see every day is City doing well. The sort of the Sheikh Mansour is always painted as like a really elegant, kind figure, and whenever they do like videos on City, all of the staff are always talking to him and stuff like that, and it's a lot of imagery
it's
stunting.
a front for the politics.
Exactly.
To try and make him look better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you, I don't know if you've ever watched All or Nothing, which is like Amazon are doing these sports documentaries called All or Nothing. They've done one on a couple of American football teams, Juventus, Milan, Man City, and they like follow them around for a season and film like behind the scenes sort of stuff. And they set up a trip to Abu Dhabi with all the players for the documentary, and if you watch it, like, it is literally like what you imagine the sort of tourism branch of the government putting out as like an advert to come to Abu Dhabi. Suddenly, 1 minute it's like a backstage sort of offhand documentary, and all of a sudden it just goes into all these sleek shots of like Abu Dhabi and everyone like it's like an advert in it, and it's just so obvious what they're trying to do. And for example, take Arab Tech, and this is just to prove that they will only ever do anything as what we see good if they are pressured to, if they have to, and even then they will try and avoid it.
Yeah.
So take Arab Tech, a company that City themselves had internally been warned about due to negative press surrounding its working conditions. If you remember all the Guardian exposure of all of the work deaths in Arab Emirates surrounding and Qatar surrounding the World Cup, etc., etc. Well, this is the company that was basically doing slave labour. So City, instead of not doing a deal with that company, they circumvented the PR, and they just signed a contract for countries where working and human rights don't affect reputation, i.e. Turkey, I think Iran and Russia. And so they just did deals with those countries. And it just says it all. They don't care that the company was responsible for deaths. They just care if it would put a negative light on them.
Mm.
They value football through the value it adds to the Emirates' reputation. They have no respect for the rules, the sport, the players or fairness, and they'll do whatever it takes to tear it all down if it means good imagery. Now the next point as to why and the next point as to why I think UEFA are just sort of doing this because it's getting to the point now where if UEFA don't do anything, then it all seems like a conspiracy. And this is to do with De Bruyne and buying players, how they can pay for such high salaries, etc.
How much is De Bruyne on?
I think it's 250 to 300 a week, grand. No.
That's $1 million a month.
Mate, you start to think and you just think, how the fuck can they afford it and turn a profit?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
incredible because
They can't make that much off shirts.
Bro,
Like, you can make a lot of shirts, but not that
City
much.
don't have one of the biggest stadiums in the league, and I don't think they filled it once in a regular season game.
They just made it bigger, didn't they? What's it now?
I think it's 49,000.
It's getting there. It's in the top 5.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. And they can't fill it ever. I think the only time they've ever filled it was in a Champions League quarter-final or semi-final. It's pretty similar to Wembley. It's too big for the support base. And so if they're not... I mean, you take Liverpool, for example. If you aren't from Liverpool, you can't go and watch Liverpool because it's that hard to get tickets. City, you could probably turn up on the day and get a ticket on the door. In the Premier League, it's just unheard of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really understand. Like teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, they make the money because they're so famous abroad, etc. City don't quite have that reputation yet. They're very new and they haven't had time to sort of build a base in Africa and Asia, etc.
See, that's the thing. I'm not a massive football fan, but I remember kind of, I don't know, about a decade ago that, or when before they bought it out, City weren't really doing too well.
No.
They were never a big club. Do you know what
No.
I mean? It was always Man U over Man City.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like it was bought out, and they just seemed to pump a shit ton of money into it, and then all of a sudden they just ranked up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess in that sense they are a pretty new club because it is a new Man City.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, because if when you gradually rise up, you gradually build a supporter base, you gradually build a merchandise sort of base as well, I guess, where people in other countries buy your shirts and shit like that. And yeah, I don't see how they could make as much money as all the other teams, even still to today. If you can't fill your stadium, then you can't be earning a lot of money. It's pretty obvious sign of where your fan base is at. If they're not even turning up to watch the team, they're not going to be buying full kits, are they? So yeah, let's go into De Bruyne. Basically, City were told that De Bruyne wasn't for sale. They still did not want to sell, said Soriano. We are putting lots of pressure on and hope we will get it done ... against their will. That's not how football usually goes. If a team says, no, there's no way you are getting him, then the polite thing to do in sport is you put bids in, let them know that you're happy to up the price, but putting pressure on is, in a lot of leagues, seen as tampering. And Bayern Munich get in a lot of trouble for this when they buy players from other German teams. And it's nowhere near the scale that City have been doing it. So they signed him for 75 million euros weeks later. And a year after, Leroy Sané was offered a deal that said if he earns less than 24.5 million in the first 3 years, they'll wire him the difference. And Bayern, the other team who were in for him, like I said, always stand accused of being able to outspend their rivals. They stood no chance of competing with City financially. And these transfers only happened because they were allowed to cheat for a decade beforehand. This is what you got to keep remembering, that their success only came through being able to cheat. Only. as good as the players are, as fantastic as Guardiola is, they wouldn't be there otherwise, etc., etc. And again, I'll keep reminding you, they're cheating only to add international legitimacy to a authoritarian regime with very, very bad track records on human rights. But it's also important to note, when we compare City and Bayern, this is less the owner's fault and more a sort of shock to the system in how skewed football is towards the Premier League. City got 170 million euros from league broadcasting in the year 17-18. Bayern got 75% less. Bayern are unanimously a bigger team than Man City. One of the top 5 teams in the world, without doubt, have been for nearly 100 years. It's a long time. And City, around this same time, City started to clock onto the idea that a global empire of teams could be the answer to turning a consistent profit. So when Roberto Mancini signed for City as manager, he also signed an advisory contract with sister club Al Jazeera, not the same as the news company, spelt differently, splitting his salary with a non-UEFA team, so they don't fall under financial fair play, Al Jazeera. So essentially what they did is, instead of paying Roberto Mancini 3 million for his contract, which isn't that crazy at all for a manager in the Premier League, in fact that's actually not a lot, they split the payment. So he takes an advisory role to a team. So once a year they might ring him up and say, what do you reckon on this transfer? And that's it. And he's getting paid exactly the same as he is to coach City. And they're from the same owners. So do you know what I mean? If it was different owners and one team wanted to pay more for his services than the other, that would make sense. They might be more desperate. But when it's the same owners, why would you pay someone $1.5 million to coach a team in the Prem, and then also charge him, or give him, $1.5 million for a little bit of advice for the board every now and then? It makes no business sense, which tells you that if good businessmen are doing something that doesn't make business sense, there's got to be some other, it's got to come back to them at some point, innit? Do you know what I mean? That's how business works. It doesn't not work for good people, good businessmen. So that was the end of Man City and the start of CFG, the City Football Group. New York, Melbourne, Uruguay, Spain and Japan all have teams owned or partially owned by CFG. Nearly all of them are to save cost on youngsters, and they're even talking about how they signed a team in Uruguay so that they could avoid tax on the sales and to guarantee playing time for Manchester's younger players, etc. So it's sort of half good reason, half not. And also, nearly all of them have been performing quite well. So even though they're just used as sort of front for Man City, they are actually all quite successful. And since it became CFG, they've increased their value by a factor of 10 in 7 years, from the 100 million they paid initially for City. So they cheat, and then they spread that money out, and now they're profitable. If that makes sense. So CFG is football capitalism at its most pure and successful. But like most capitalist ventures, it relies on cheating, control, bullying and violation against its own industry. So I'm going to ask you boys, is it enough to ban them from single competitions and not actually affect their future, even though they've bought themselves Premier League titles? It's a big thing. Do you know what I mean? If as a Liverpool fan,
billions of pounds,
yeah,
and many other currencies,
yeah, and
on that.
as a Liverpool fan, it kind of hurts to think that, well, you know what I mean, we lost the league last season by a point. We lost once all season, and the only reason why we aren't seen as the best team is because someone's cheated themselves to near perfection, and all they're gonna get is, I mean, when you look at the table, they might not qualify for the Champions League this season. So, like, is it even a punishment? And is it time to tell these owners to go back to their palaces and start doing the job they're employed by the Abu Dhabi people, which is to run their fucking government?
Yeah, very true.
Is it time to push UEFA to say that maybe they should have to sell Man City? Do you think that's too harsh?
Well, I think just me as someone who has only heard about all this through this right now.
Yeah.
I think that because obviously they've kicked him out of the Champions League for 2 years, took away 30 million, which is pretty much a bloody slap on the wrist.
Peanuts,
it's nothing. But I mean, it's sad because there's a lot of players there, and even Guardiola, maybe, I don't know how involved he is in all of it, but
it seems like he's privy to the information, but I wouldn't suggest that he's not
the mastermind behind it.
He's not really interested in giving Abu Dhabi a profit.
He's just hoping he can get the players he wants.
Yeah, he's happy to get who he wants, and if they're dodgy about it, then I won't ask questions.
Which is understandable.
Italian football 101.
Trust. But like the thing I don't get about the whole punishment is it's the other people who are doing this wrong, but they're punishing like a player like Sterling, who's, do you know what I mean? He's a young English player as well. Someone who, like, we have a lot of developing players, both for England and many other countries, who are now being left out of the Champions League, even though they're great performers, they're great sportsmen, and the only way they're going to get into this competition, which them as players have worked hard for, the only way they're going to get into it is by leaving or by waiting 2 years. And for some players, e.g. like Sterling, they might be at their peak athletic performance.
We've got Euros and World Cups the next 3 years.
Exactly. So we need them to be at their best, and it's not saying that they're not good. It's not like their footballing ability is going to diminish because they're having a couple less games and that. But the problem is these people, these individuals who have worked hard to get where they are,
have been punished.
They're being punished. Meanwhile, the people, as you said, who are actually employed to do a whole nother, way more important job,
are still allowed to make money.
Are still allowed to do their thing. Like the fact that it's been going on for
2008,
12 years. That's mental. I think personally, whether it's they sell the club or whatever, but there must be a punishment towards them. Like if they're like I'm an idiot to this situation. I don't really know what's going on to the full extent, but how much money do you think they've made from all of this situation? How much have they profited?
I'd probably say now that they've been profitable for sort of 5-6 years with a number of teams, I'd say that they must be making hundreds of millions to a single billion now.
Is that what? Do you mean like in total or per year for the last 5 years?
As in, if they sold up now, they'd probably be able to sell all of the teams for around $1 billion. And they bought it for 100 million.
See, that is the problem. Is the problem the company? The CFG company.
See, that's what I was going to ask.
Because is it actually bad that them having that? Is that actually ruining football? Is it? What's like? Maybe I'm just a bit confused myself, but what is the punishment actually for? Like in layman's terms.
In layman's terms, the punishment is for misleading UEFA during investigations and breaking financial fair play. So it doesn't seem to be for the fraudulent behaviour. It doesn't seem to be for the distasteful behaviour, which isn't illegal but just isn't sporting or whatever. And it doesn't seem to be for the City Football Group.
So do you feel like maybe they're getting a bit of a sweetheart deal?
I think so, because the way that if you read the charges and you just said, oh, they broke financial fair play, you'd just be like, oh, well, do you know what I mean? They probably signed someone. It turned out to be 10 million more than they said. And do you know what I mean? It makes it seem like City aren't doing anything majorly wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, because with the whole owning various teams, to me, I think that's just going to be the future of sport. Like, it just makes a lot of sense to own
sports
feeder
company
teams.
Conglomerates who...
Yeah,
overtake all these
I mean,
teams.
the people that own Liverpool own Boston Red Sox and shit like that.
Yeah,
And
the Kroenke owns, the Arsenal owner owns
is it
some
Boston
Canadian.
or New York?
I'm not sure, but they own a Canadian hockey team, ice
That's
hockey
it.
team.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if sort of buying a crappy little team from Spain and making them good, and also using it to give your youngsters playing time. To me, to me, it's annoying, frustrating, and in the end, it could lead to bad shit. But at the moment, to me, that seems like good business.
Yeah,
it seems like good business.
It's good to be able to put your players somewhere else and make sure they get play time.
Yeah,
I think that's
essentially it's an English team, English players to us getting game time in Spain and shit. It's, I mean, that's sweet for us.
that's great. Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, let me ask you then.
Yeah.
As someone who's clued up about the whole situation, what should their punishment be?
I think they should have to sell Manchester City.
Get them out of football.
Yeah, if you spend $1 billion before, you get investigated, you threaten to tear down, like, you got to remember, like, to people like me and you, your dad, even you, even though you're not like particularly into it, you can still recognise that football is a religion to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is that's my daily prayer, is in it. Do you know what I mean? That's what if I'm feeling shit, if I whatever, I talk to the football gods. Do you know what I mean? No, but it is to a lot of people. Most people are atheists nowadays, and we find our religions in other things. And for someone to come in and distort that, I think we should take it a bit more seriously. Football is the most popular thing on earth outside of religion, outside of Islam and Christianity.
Yeah, it's the most attentive to. It's thing with the most
common
got
hobby.
the most eyes on it, hasn't it?
Yeah. It always has the most views during World Cups, etc., etc., etc. So it's an important part of being a human now, and do you know what I mean? So it's very serious. Not to spend too much money, but to tamper and then say you can't punish us, otherwise we'll tear football down. There needs to be a point when football stands up and says, "Do you know what? Just for threatening us, you can fuck off."
Would they
Like,
even be
that alone?
Would they even be able to force the sale? Because at the end of the day, they're the owners.
If you owned a business and you committed fraud, you would still get punished, and you wouldn't be able to run that business anymore. I don't know whether you'd have to liquidate it. I don't know whether you'd just have to pass it on for a set price. Maybe a tribunal could agree on a fair price to sell it, taking into consideration how much they paid, how much good they've actually done for the club, because they have done a lot of good for the club, innit? They've made it a big team. And even if you take away the huge transfer fees and shit, they've still got one of the best academies in the world, the best training ground in the world. So, as well, is I think that the contract's tied to the owners and not City. So if the owners went, I don't think City would have access to any of the facilities.
Can you buy shares in City?
I don't know.
A public limited company?
I don't think so. I think it's only in Germany that teams are like that. But by law, at least 10 or 20% of the club has to be owned by fans, which makes a lot of sense.
What, in Germany?
Yeah. But Germany are good because they understand it's their religion, so they look after it.
But the problem with a situation like this is the fans aren't gonna.
Well, I talk to people about it, and people say, "Oh, well, Liverpool bought Alisson for 70 million," and I'm like, I'm not sure you're getting. There's fraud. There's being one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
You can't. If they were challenging for titles beforehand, I think it would be a lot more difficult to pin the success on the cheating. But considering that they wouldn't have got to the point of even attracting someone like De Bruyne, someone like Guardiola, and then
even
after
Robinho
that,
back in the day.
Exactly. Well, yeah, the week
That's
that
when
they
it all
got
started,
bought,
didn't it?
they
Yeah.
bought Robinho, snatched him off Chelsea, and I think the famous press conference quote from Robinho is that he thought he was in London because he didn't even know.
No way.
Yeah.
And their fans came from Chelsea, just putting that out there.
Yes. Yeah, there is a bit of a conspiracy that all the Chelsea glory hunters are now City fans. Especially on Twitter. Honestly, there's
We
more
should do an
City fans.
expose.
Yes. All the anonymous City accounts on Twitter.
All I'm saying is I've seen Frank Lampard in a City shirt, so.
Well, that was like the first big deal with their sister clubs, because he was signed for New York City, which they own, and agreed to play for City until the American season started back up again. So that's a positive that you can get if you own a couple of teams, whether it's right or wrong. Things like that can happen when older players want to go to a weaker league for a little while. You can sort of nice them up. You can sort of get them into like Patrick Vieira started coaching in New York. He's now part of City's staff, etc., etc. So for the development of individuals, for the stuff like that, there is a lot of positives with that, and I don't particularly think they should be punished for the City football group thing. I think what we've got to bear in mind is we're talking about way over 2 billion. Probably nowhere near that much back in cash. If they sold up, they could probably get towards that, but that's not how profit works. It's not against your value, it's against what you've sold and taken in, etc. But yeah, 100% they shouldn't be allowed to own Manchester City. When I think about the questions that would be asked back, and the reasons why, if you had to give legal reasons why, they can't be trusted. They literally cannot be trusted, even whilst in investigations going on. 2, they threatened to sue UEFA because City broke UEFA's rules. They were quite clear. It took years for FFP to come into play, so teams had time to prepare for it. And even then, it wasn't enough because they hadn't cheated their way into a gap between them and the other teams. It was still competitive, so they carried on cheating. They're coming up with sister companies, Fordham Sports, which basically their mate gives them money and then they just send the money back at the start of the next year and shit. They're basically getting loans from mates, selling players' rights to companies that don't stand to make any profit off of it. That, in my opinion, is purposefully in football up because you think you've seen, like any venture capitalist, they've seen something that someone else hasn't used to exploit, and they've thought, we can exploit that and make a bit of money out of it. And I think we do need to get to a sort of position like Germany is in, where it's straight up like the NHS. It's ours. It looks after us. It's what we invest our money into. So there should be no debate over whether someone else can buy it and sell it back to us. And football is a similar product. Football's the healthcare, and the football teams are the NHS. They're the clubs that provide us with our entertainment, etc., etc. So we need to start valuing football like that, and instead of sort of this whole, it's dog eat dog world, you know what I mean? Someone else should have come up with the idea first and that. We need to sort of separate that attitude from sport, because sport is sport, and it's dying out like a lot of other things are, like all forms of art on a mainstream level are. It's having the soul ripped out of it, and this rips the soul out of football. And yeah, I personally, so they can't be trusted. They've threatened UEFA. They've actually spoken about avoiding rules. They've committed fraud, and I personally can never remember a case of this happening in sport, and it's going to set a very bad precedent. Because you imagine, I don't know, say if you support, let's take Margate, Gillingham, local teams. They could see that and think, so we can cheat our way to the top. We can win Premier League titles and challenge for Champions League titles, and all we've got to do is sit it out for 2 years. The amount of, like, it would be a punishment if you're talking about Arsenal or Liverpool or Man United, because they are Champions League teams, always have been. So if you take them out, that before the owners came in, they would have been challenging for it anyway, but City weren't challenging for the Champions League. So if it, again, I'll say it, without the cheating, none of it happens. And that's, to me, that makes me feel a little bit disgusted that other teams are going to see this and just be like, it's worth the fucking fine, isn't it? Like, we're a shit team. We're never going to challenge for the Champions League. But if we cheat, We can get to that level, sit it out, but we'll be in the Prem, making the top dollar, getting 170 million broadcasting rights every year. Do you know what I mean? That now you've just sort of encouraged people to do that.
Do you know what? The fact they did it just in broad daylight as well. Like, we've actually watched this happen in football for the last how many years?
Yeah.
They've actually seen it happen. A club that's like
Yeah,
no fans.
we've all
You've got no
been saying-
fans. You've got no brand.
Yeah.
No, but we've seen it go from that to
And in
actually
12
like.
years, they just
That's
go,
mad.
oh, well, you probably won't qualify for it, so you can just sit that tournament out next year and we'll fine you. Do you know what I mean? They could sell a player that they never play and get that 20 million back and save his wages. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing. This is nothing money.
Anything been said before as well. Like, surely that should have been nipped in the bud from early. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just happened so slowly and so like sneaky the way they've done it all.
But doesn't it worry you that it would have been because UEFA was genuinely scared of the threats against its
Sounds like they
existence?
are.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me
Sounds
if they
like
were.
it is.
Well, that's the thing. You've not just got a rich businessman after you. You've got the owner of a country.
Royal.
Yeah,
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 royal,
yeah.
yeah,
A
royal.
government.
allowed to buy it in the first place, bro. and
No,
you haven't
no.
be
You
having this
can't.
conversation,
You can't
innit?
have countries
No.
buying football teams in Western countries to boost their reputation because they're such a bad government. Like it's so wrong. I'm trying to think of another example, but I don't think there's
Trains.
ever been anything. Huh?
Or trains or railways.
Well, yeah, exactly. And things like that. The fact that EDF subsidised the French taxpayer, so they get money back from how much we use our own energy.
Yeah. It's mad.
It's incredible. But yeah, in sport, I don't think I can even think of an example where a country has bought a team to boost its own PR image and is willing to be known outright and publicly as cheats and to threaten the whole thing that holds football together. I honestly, I can't think of... Even Donald Trump's presidential campaign was like less about destruction. Do you know what I mean?
To be honest as well, I can't even think of another country that would just allow that to happen. Like, trying to do that in-
There's no other country in the world that would look at that and... but the thing is because they're so desperate for the reputation boost, because without it they won't get voted back in, etc, and all of that shit, and it can be quite dangerous for ex-government officials and things like that in countries where they have abused the public so much. But yeah, any other country would look at that and go, well, so what? You'd make a bit of money out of it. You can make a bit of money buying shares. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to do it like that. You can improve your reputation by being better on human rights, etc. Like, could you imagine if, because of the whole what we done to Iraq, we bought an Iraqi team and was just like Union Jacks everywhere and like just
Yeah,
basically
imagine.
trying to make them like us more and shit. It would be fucked up. Like, it's wrong. This isn't just a little mini industry that deserved a kick up his arse and a bit of sort of evolution. This is football. This ain't a business for you to come in and take all the money from. This is why people don't like Man United's owners, because they riddle the club with debt. All of the fans and everyone else misses out, and they just siphon off profits back to America. And I mean, the sort of, I say, the Germany model is very... It's almost like they are nationalised teams, essentially. And like the profits go back into the club or into the community and shit like that. And to be fair, saying that, City have done a lot of community work and shit like that. But as soon as you find out why they've done
Is
it,
that
it sort of
just the
takes
front?
away from... Yeah. Oh, so you just threw some pennies at the peasants. And the peasants see pennies and go, I've never had a penny. But to you, that was just in the bottom of your back pocket.
Yeah.
And,
Like
yeah.
Balotelli and that kid that you're going and picked up in his car.
yeah. No, big up Balotelli though. Best player in the world.
Fireworks off in a hotel room.
I don't. Apparently, the school thing isn't true, but he said it wasn't true, but everyone else is saying that it was.
Just give context on that. Like,
Oh well, basically, he saw a kid out during school hours, supposedly picked him up and took him back to the school, walked him back into the school, took him to the head teacher and said, you should be teaching this kid a bit better and stuff like that. And I mean, working class hero Mario. And yeah,
Mario
what was
the
the
plumber.
fireworks thing?
Oh,
He's setting off fireworks in his
fireworks
house.
In a hotel room, I heard.
No, it's his house, I think.
Both.
But,
I miss
Crazy
him
man.
actually. Do you know what? I miss Balotelli.
What happened to him?
Yeah.
He's fucking
He's
crazy, bro.
he was playing for Brescia in Serie A, Italian league, but they're looking to sell him. And there was someone that there might have even been an English team that are interested in bringing him back. But yeah, we kind of personally, on the side note, we do miss football. Mysteriously lacks mavericks right now. Where's the Eric Cantonas?
Yeah.
The long haired brashy. I ain't running. Just give me the fucking ball. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is,
The Roy Keanes.
the old school Urtzels, essentially, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like the Totties, do you know what I mean? The fucking the gods. Like,
Well, I think because these players are getting so much money at so young, they, in their head, they become a superstar,
takes the soul out
and
of
then
the game.
they just, I don't know, they like look at someone like, what's his name, Rashford,
Yeah.
like the guy's
improving, big contract.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
decline like
Walcott.
fucking Sanchez. Like
Yeah.
Sanchez was like amazing
Yes.
at Arsenal.
Yes.
As soon as he went to Man U, got his what?
What's the point in trying?
350 a
Like,
week.
Yeah, fuck it. You sell me at the end of the season. I've made more than enough money.
Exactly.
See, the thing is, it's like money has kind of destroyed football
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we wouldn't even be having this discussion if there wasn't so much money in football.
Mm-hmm.
And like you look at the players, and it's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Like even like I've never been to a proper football match, but I know the price of season tickets and stuff is
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely
It's
unreal.
crazy.
Especially at Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Kroenke.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you're
Kroenke,
listening.
fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like,
Take
so
your money and wrap up.
how are you going to charge your fans that kind of money just to come and see a team that they fully support with all of their heart?
Just so
like
you
saying,
can
it's-
make a little extra
exactly,
bit of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, so you were saying it's like a religion.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine now the churches kind of prey on that and start charging you $3,000
Yeah.
every season to come and pray every Sunday or come to Sunday
subscription
service. Yeah, a
service,
subscription service to the church. It's a
Yeah.
similar kind of thing like that. Obviously, it's different because it's a sport, but it's the same premise. And it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of taking advantage of people's passion for the sport.
Yeah, yeah, that is a big one. It does take away the passion because you watch games and you almost concede to the fact that the richer team's gonna win. And if you have taken a bit of time out from football, it also puts you off getting back into it because it just seems like it's almost scripted because it all just depends on who your owners are and stuff.
Well, I mean, even with like because I'm an Arsenal fan, like we're literally. Well, allow it, G. We're suffering right now.
No, you're getting
But-
better.
Yeah, no, we're getting better. But like even with like talking about how you kind of concede to these richer teams, like we're all going through these financial issues with the whole stadium and stuff, and then it was just kind of like, oh, everyone else is just including this is the time when City are spending their absolute highest. We're just sitting there like, oh well,
Got a couple of decent
we're
youngsters.
just poor right now, and that's
Yeah.
it. Even though we're one of the richest clubs in the world,
Yeah.
we're just poor right now, and we just got to accept
business
that.
is more important than football.
Exactly.
And the wider world has just accepted it. It's just, I mean, I think we were talking about it that with politics a couple of episodes ago, how things that shouldn't be right become that's the way it is before anyone's even actually questioned it.
Yeah.
And it's just like
And then it's just accepted.
yeah. Like I saw a mail on Football 365 from basically on Football 365 every day. They do in the morning, afternoon, and evening, like fan mail. So you write in, and then someone will reply to your email and shit like that. And he was saying, he was like, I'm a City fan. I look at this website every day. I know for a fact I am the first ever Man City fan to put my hands up and after this ban admit that it's just fucking plain wrong. But because of the tribalism in football, no one's a City fan will never listen to you if you don't support City or if you support another Prem team. It's just oh, you're just saying that because
you're anti that team.
Yeah. What is anti-football? Everything's like this nowadays, and you think that's not a reason why you should do it. That's an observation. We're not asking for you
Just
to tell me
becomes a
what they're
deflection
doing. We know
tactic.
they're fucking exactly. It's all deflection. And if you deflect something enough times, if you deflect a bullet enough times, it starts to slow down, and then it sort of just gets lost
Yeah.
and has no effect.
Matrix.
Yeah, everything relates. Epstein.
It all comes back.
Honestly, it would not. Like, I think we say it every episode with whoever we're talking about, but it would not shock me if it turned out that Epstein was secretly their financial advisor or something.
Sean Atwood, please look into this.
Yeah.
Oh, City. City.
City.
City.